Victory to love, the love inside your heart. Victory to the light that shines in your mind. Earth, sky and stars, 10,000 suns shine within us all. Give praise to the
Namaste. Hi yogis, welcome to the Shaman and the Mermaid. We're happy to be here. We're sitting up on top of Squaw Pass. Behind us is
Mount Evans.
And we're up here camping for the week perhaps and getting into nature and enjoying this time of summer. We wanted to share it with you all just so you can see it. That's part of our new theme, is to take you back to nature. This full moon report starts with the Aquarius full moon on July 23rd. And actually, this is what we call an astrological blue moon, because there'll be two full moons in the sign of Aquarius. The second full moon will be on August 22nd, again in Aquarius. That's not as usual, and so we're getting a double down on Aquarius energy and illuminating that sort of genius, revolutionary, evolutionary, outside the box thinking part of ourselves and letting it be expressive and coming out. It may have felt like these past months and year that part of ourselves has been clamped down and we haven't been able to express our uniqueness, our individuality, and share that with others. So this might be a reason why we're having a double Aquarius blue moon. In between all that, there's a ton of Leo and Sun energy going on, and themes themed around the lion and lion-heartedness. And so we'll kick off with our mantra and theme and talk about some Leo energy. What do you want to share with us?
Well, this is a saying that I heard so much from our teacher, Saul David Ray, but he gets it from the Vedanta philosophy, and it's a ancient yogic phrase that the heart has the power of 10,000 suns. That is the belief that the yogis hold, that our heart is so very powerful, and we're only using just a little bit of its power. And if we wanted to tap into the full throttle of it, we could really access some great inspirations and aspirations and creativity and love, for that matter. Our heart is so much a key player in all of our loving relationships. And so we're here to encourage you to access that power of 10,000 suns that dwells in the heart. And the reason that we're talking so much about the heart, Michael alluded to it, was that Leo energy and the sun energy is such a strong influence. We're in the sign of Leo right now. The sun moved into Leo on the 21st or 2nd of July. And so that takes the stage. Now we're in Leo territory. And Michael is a Leo rising himself, and he has an August birthday. He's technically a Virgo, but he's very close to being a Leo sun. So I'll let him explain what Leo and Sun characteristics are like, because he has a lot of them himself. Doesn't he even look like a lion a little bit? He looks like a lion.
Maybe. Leo energy is connected to the lion, which is radiant, putting things out. It's yang energy, and it's what comes out of you with your authenticity and your creativity and your heart. Open-heartedness, courageousness, and I think Katrina will talk about the courageous piece in a little bit. And it's what you have to share with the world, your gifts. And it's all about, when it's in balance, not being concerned about whether what you put out is going to be sellable, usable, liked. It's doing it because it's your gift. It's like a rose blooms because it's a rose. It's not wondering if you'll like it or wondering if you can sell it. And so being Leo energy is letting your authentic true self express your emotions, express your thoughts, express your heart, hug people, invite them into your field, express your cooking, all the ways that you can do that. And the archetype of Leo and the lion goes from the lion cub, when you come out and you're just playful and you're tussling around and you're learning how to hunt, but you're also having fun. And then you evolve through the teenage lion, and you eventually become the lion king or queen, where you have nobility to yourself because you've explored life and you're open-hearted and you can help guide and lead other people in the right way. Now, with all that said, there is shadow Leo energy, and it expresses one of two ways, but its essence is fear. fear that you won't be loved or liked. And so it's like the cowardly lion in Wizard of Oz, going in, being scared, kind of can't speak. And then the opposite is arrogance and pushing out and only being concerned with the self and pomp and circumstance. But both of them are motivated by a similar essence of fear of not being loved.
Fear. Fear is the opposite of love, and your heart is meant to love. It is meant to love. That's what you came from. Like, you're born of love, and you'll return to love. So the heart, having the power of 10,000 suns, is there for us to access all the ways in which we can love. And if you think of what the word for the heart is, in French it's cœur, and in Spanish it's corazón, and both of those are the same roots that are in the word courage. The word courage itself means to have the heart. And like Michael referenced the cowardly lion in The Wizard of Oz, that's what he wanted, was courage. He wanted to be, a brave lion. And all along it was in his heart. If he would have just looked, he would have seen that he had the power of 10,000 suns, and he could have been the courageous lion instead of the cowardly lion, and eventually did wind up so. So that's the same for all of us right now, is to let ourselves shine like the sun, and express and be playful and creative, and really tap into our loving hearts as well. And in the yogic tradition, we often speak that we have, several hearts. We have our physical heart, and we have our emotional heart, and we have our spiritual heart. And that spiritual heart is called the Hridayam heart. And in the cosmos, as above, so below, right? It's very similar. So there is a second sun, if you will, called Sirius. We think of it as a star, but it's the brightest star in the night sky in the wintertime. You can see it. It looks like a spaceship or something. It's just so big and so bright. Lesser known for some reason. It's not one of those that we talk about very much, but it's a potent star in our system, and it is kind of equated to be the spiritual heart or the spiritual sun, compared to our solar sun that we are cruising around in our solar system. And Michael will explain why this is significant at this time, because there's an aspect in this report that involves Sirius.
Sirius to the Egyptians was called the dog star, and it's in the dog constellation. And this time of year, summertime, is when that star begins to rise before the sun, just before sunrise. It's called the heliacal rising of the star Sirius. Helios means the sun, or the Greek word for our sun. And 3,000, 4,000 years ago, the heliacal rising of Sirius was on the summer solstice, on June 21st. Now with the precession and the equinoxes, tough one to get out, the precession of the equinoxes, it now happens more towards the end of July and early August. And so these are called the dog days of August, when the dog star begins to rise before the sun. And if we're talking spiritually and energetically, you have two suns, two stars rising at the same time. And so it's amplified. And I love that Katrina brought in the Hridayam heart. Sirius is the yin, inward, internal energy, and the sun is yang, external. And the ancient Egyptians and many other ancient cultures thought and knew that we have a binary star, or a soul sister star. And so the sun and Sirius are soul sisters, binary stars, and they orbit around each other in a figure 8 every 26,000 years. We've now come to the apex of when they're the farthest apart, 13,000 years apart, and they're going to start curving back in towards the heart center, and these two hearts will reunite again in a couple epochs, but
we won't be around.
But we're feeling it right now at this time of year when they're rising together, the internal and outer sun, and it's to awaken the heart, to also heal the thymus gland and awaken the lungs and make you breathe and feel courageous. So tune into it. It's also intensity of frequency.
If we were in the other side of the world, if we were on the Nile and we could see out towards the pyramids, Sirius will rise right over the tallest one and be at the apex of that at this time of year. And so they use that as a marker for harvesting planting, because the Nile would flood and bring all its water nourishment to the drier, deserty parts, and then it would recede back down and leave all that. What do you call that?
Alluvial silt.
The alluvial silt, right? And that alluvial silt is great fertilizer for farming. So that was also a sign that, okay, time to get going on the planting situation. And then that brings us to another big kind of sun holiday. There's a sun god by the name of Lugh, Lugh, and he is honored on August 2nd, which is also another calendar marking point. It's the midpoint between summer solstice and fall equinox. The dead center between it is Lammas on August 2nd, and that is where we celebrate the first harvest coming through from all that great planting we did. And I picked some grass stalks because they get these little pulse seeds at the top. And when the hays and the wheats and the different grains get these little seed capsules at the top called a pulse, it's time to harvest them. And so this is, July, and we are harvesting. We'll have a proper harvest moon in October where we get everything out of the garden. But these first harvests are coming on, and these little pulse seeds, we want to harvest it before they dry and go to seed, because that's what happens. If we let them go, then they go to seed and then, replant themselves. But these pulse seeds, if you grind them, that's going to make the flour for your breads. And so Lammas was traditionally a time for celebrating the first harvest, but breaking bread with your familial community, family, friends, whatnot, but also a time to break bread and have discussions about perhaps things that aren't always favorable, those hard talks to have. And you do it over breaking bread because it's less likely that the conversation will go south if you're having some meat and some bread and being joyful and in a celebratory fashion. So you could follow suit. If there's a discussion you need to have with family or friends or loved ones that is a little bit tender or difficult to breach, this is a very good time to break bread, make bread and break bread with the family members and have those challenging conversations. August 2nd is going to fall in what Michael already referenced from Sirius rising, the dog days of summer, when again, the reason it's called the dog days of summer is because Sirius is in the heart of the dog constellation, Canis Major or Minor, whichever one it is, and so it sits in the dog's heart, which is interesting because there's another star that's sitting in the lion's heart at this same time, and that is on the new moon, 8/8. We will see Regulus, which is that bright red star. You want to talk about Lionsgate?
On 8/8, which is also the new moon, Leo new moon, the sun will pass in front of the star Regulus, the heart of the lion, that red star. And it's activating that Leo energy for everybody, open-heartedness, being open-armed, being authentic, being standing up in your power and right way and expressing and sharing and creating. And the Lion's Gate is to ennoble ourselves so that we can be powerful leaders who are compassionate, helpful, leading by being an example, and being that courageous, smiling, happy lion energy. Going back to our mantra, I think it activates your heart to that 10,000 sun potential, letting you know that there's more to you. And we're still in that spiritual Hirudayam energy of Sirius right there. So this whole opening of August is this beautiful heart opening and love, romanticism, enthusiasm are words that go with it. Passion.
Creativity.
So use this Lion's Gate to find that inside yourselves or remind yourself that you can tap into it.
Remember, 8/8 Lion's Gate is also not only Regulus, which was the star that was the guidance for the sailors in the night sky. They'd use that to find their way home. Use the same purpose of Regulus for the sailors, to find your way home, to the internal spiritual heart. And the new moon that it also falls on, 8/8, is the new moon as well. We use new moons for intention setting, set an intention for using all the Leo energies. But for me, I'm focusing on what creative endeavor do I want to come into manifestation, and then offer that through the portal. When the portal opens, it's like a aperture on a camera, and it opens wide, and you can see through the veil. The veil lifts, and you can see to the other side, and you have access to that spirit realm, or you can feel that connection to source so much more vividly. It's much more intensified. So we have this incredible access at that time. Use it to bring forth, using the power of your 10,000 suns in the heart, all the things, whether it's romance or creativity or power. And we want to use our power in right way. So I'm always want people to be very specific in what it is you're calling in. Because if you just say power, you could get a whole lot of power. And if you're not directing it in right way, you might use your power in wrong way. And then that goes into the arrogance and the lack of confidence and all the things that not using your Leo energy in its balanced way can lead to. So Sankalpa setting on 8/8, know that that's the Lionsgate portal. And then we have a couple more things to mention. Ongoing throughout the whole year, we've been mentioning the Saturn-Uranus square that has been going on, and we just had an exact square in June. We'll have another one in December. We had one early in the year in February, I believe. And the sun is going to square on that square. So it'll be a T-square. You'll have Sun over here, Saturn over here, and then Uranus over here. So Sun and Uranus are going to have a square on August 6th, and then Sun will be opposite of Saturn, and then Sun and Uranus are also in that T-shaped square on the other. So Michael has a really good way of explaining kind of the Uranus-Saturn energy, and then you can throw on what the Sun-Uranus square does too.
That square between Saturn and Uranus, Saturn is bringing the establishment of society and our culture and the patriarchy and the way things are done. And it's coming into an energy with Uranus, which is innovative, new, different, revolutionary, evolutionary energy. And both have a valid energy that needs to persist, and both need to yield and change something. And so this square all year long is that tension between the old and the new, basically, and the sun is reactivating it. But it's throwing in the personal, authentic self in there. How do you feel about all this? What from the old patriarchal ways is good and needs to stay, and what needs to get changed? And what from the new revolutionary changes are coming may not be best and stable for the long term, and what may need to be called in and nurtured and carried through?
So have that in awareness. Squares always create a little challenge, and that is very close to those dog days of summer where our tempers can flare. Intensity of heat always makes us a little hot under the collar, so to speak. So just keep that in check. Watch your attitude, and keep the playfulness of the Leo at the forefront, and that loving heart, the courageous heart, the the corazon of your heart, activated, loving, and friendly. And don't forget, one last little thing, that we're still in retrograde season. We have 6 planets in retrograde. You have them rattle off: Jupiter, Neptune, Saturn, Pluto, Chiron, Eris. Is that correct? So last month's report, we said you can't rush your healing. That still is applicable. Take your time to heal the wounds of the heart, but at the same time use this powerful heart energy to let the heart kind of shine like the sun and radiate out that 10,000 waves of sunshine.
Time out.
All right. We'll see you next time on August 22nd, full moon. See you then.
That's good.
Victory to love, the love inside your heart. Victory to the light that shines in your mind. Earth, sky and stars, 10,000 suns shine within us all. Give praise to the one. Victory to love, the love inside your heart. Victory to the light that shines in your mind. Earth, sky and stars, 10,000 suns shine within us all.